Okay, so this video is going to show you how to find cold reads at the junior high level for assessments. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get Examview, and if you go down to the Start button, and I like to pin it up here so it's easier to find, but the first time you do it you're going to have to go to All Programs, then Applications, then Examview Pro, and then Examview Test Generator. And if you right click on that, you'll have the option to pin to your Start menu. I don't, because I've already pinned it there, but if you just click there, then in the future it will be right there. Okay, so if you click on Examview Test Generator, the first time that it comes up you have to register the product. Just type in your name and KDISD. I always don't check the box that says register now online, and then I never register online. But normally, so you do that once, and then every other time it'll come up with a screen that looks like this. And click Create a New Test using a wizard. Give your test a title. So maybe Unit 1, Academic, and then hit Next. And you have to start with the folder down here to get everything, to get all the banks. So if you click on the folder, you want to go to the R drive, and you're clicking on the arrow, the triangle next to it. So R drive, junior high, language arts, and then let's say, let's just pick grade 7. Okay, and then what comes up, so you have your DVD files, the first course, Holt Reader Interactive CD-ROM, novel resources. You want to click Teacher, and then you want to go down to Examview. Okay, so you have different types of banks on here. One, you have archived older items. This is stuff from the old textbook. It's not bad stuff, but the questions really aren't that great that go with it. This would be a good place to look if you're trying to pull questions for a midterm or a unit test, but just keep in mind that you would probably have to really look through those questions and make sure that they are worded the way that you want them worded. Alright, then you have SE, the unit practice assessments. These are actually in the textbook. At the end of a unit in the Holt book, there's a student assessment. This is what we used to give as study guides for kids, especially because they're already in the textbook. Then you have your selection test for all the units in the textbook. The selection tests are text specific, so it's going to be over a specific text. This is not a cold read, right? This is not what I would use for a test, because you're testing something you've already taught. This might be okay for quizzes, but not a test. Then you have the Texas portals. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but I would play around with that if you're looking for cold reads, if you run out of stuff, but I'm not 100% sure what that is. Now the unit test, that's what I would focus on. So if you click on the unit test and then hit select, so now what you have is you have every single unit in the textbook, and you have a test A for academic and a test B, C version. That would be for your pre-AP. Usually the texts are the same, but the questions are phrased differently and more challenging for your pre-AP. So let's say you know that unit, I'm not familiar with the 7th grade textbook, but let's say you know that unit 4 in the textbook, you pulled a lot of text in for your anchor text during this unit that you taught, and you're pretty sure that unit 4 is going to give you something good. So if you click on unit 4 and then select, it moves it down here. And let's say you also think unit 8 is really good. So you click there and hit select. Alright, so now I see I have 2 question banks, right? Unit 4 and unit 8, with a total of 85 multiple choice 85 questions available. Obviously I'm not going to give kids that many questions, but that gives me a starting point. So I'm going to hit next. Now I have a choice. I can do 74 multiple choice, 6 short answer, and 5 essay. Let's say I'm really only looking at multiple choice. So I want to do all 74 of the multiple choice, and then I can weed out the questions that I don't like. I'm not going to do any short answer. Maybe I'll do 1 essay, or I'll do 2 essays. Hit next, hit finish. This tells me what I'm doing, and it's building the test for me. Alright, so let's see what came up. So we have, it looks like a fiction piece, and some comprehension questions. Okay. And this would be the essay that I chose. Okay, here's another one. Looks like another fiction piece. And some comprehension questions. Vocabulary. We got some revising and editing. Let's say that, okay, I decide that I really want to use, let me just show you a couple of Examview tricks. I decide that I want to use this revising and editing section, but I only want to have 5 questions total. Let's say I really like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's imagine I've looked at it more carefully. So I need to delete all these. Just right click on it, delete. Do you want to delete it? Yes. Right click, delete. Yes. Right click, delete. And you can build your test that way. Now, because I picked 2 selection tests, that's why I have so many questions. So maybe it would have been better if I really only picked 1 to start off with. Okay? I want to show you at the very end of each test what you're going to have is you're going to have all the answer choices. And what's neat about it is that if you delete any questions, it automatically updates this for you. Okay? So I've got my answer choices. Obviously, I would want to talk with my team, and we would want to pare this down because it's way too many questions. But let me show you a couple of tricks with Examview. Right now, I'm looking at one version of the test. You can print out lots of different versions. So the way you do that is File, Print Test. And if you have 6 classes and you want 6 academic classes and you want 6 versions of the test, you can do that. You can scramble the questions, but then in that case, make sure you print out the answer strip so you know what the answers are. So you can do different versions. That's why it's important to keep this ID up here so you have, A, B, C, D, E, however many versions of the test you get. You can change the font by, I think it's under Edit, Edit, Replace Font. You can find all the font and you can make it whatever it is you want. You can also print out, you can do a modified version of the test by going to Question and then Adjust Choices, Columns. So if you need to take this down to 3, so for a modified version of the test, and now each multiple choice question will only have 3 answer choices. You can do that easily for each version. What else? If you don't like the header and footer, I'm particular and crazy, I guess, about that. But the way you do that is you go to Test, Header on the first page, and you can customize this however you like. Whatever you do in Examview, you just have to hit record. And then you also would need to do that for other pages. I always do that because, like I said, I'm crazy. Let's see what else. There's a lot of functions on here. I didn't use a ton of stuff. I used it mostly to find the cold reads. So if you're planning this with your team and you know this, 2 or 3 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of the day that you're going to give the assessment, and you want to send this into Print Shop, unfortunately there's not a way to export this as a PDF, which is what you need for Print Shop. So there's two ways you can handle that. You can print out the test, File, Print Test, however many versions, whatever. Upload that, and then you can, after you print it out, you can scan it in using the Xerox machine. But it's kind of good that you can't export this as a PDF and then upload it, because if you export this, you're also exporting this, which, would be interesting to see if the students noticed they had the answers on the last page of the test or not. So that's what I would do. I would print it out, and then I would just take off those pages with the answers, and I would run it through the Xerox machine and upload it as a PDF. Or you can go to File, you can export this rich text format, which would give you a Microsoft Word version. I'm not a big fan of this because it messes with the format a little bit of this. And then you also can't do features like I showed you about eliminating an answer choice, about different versions of the test. So I'm not a big fan of that. If you decide, I just need to start over, I don't like this, just X out. You want to save changes? No. And then I always keep like a little sticky note and write down which ones I've chosen, so I know not to keep looking in the same place. And then I'll upload, and you can find, if you go to the R drive, junior high, language arts, grade 7, teacher, Examview. And I was looking at, not the selection test, but I was looking at the unit test. And maybe I want to try unit 2 now and see what they have. Okay? I would recommend to kind of play around. I'm back on the R drive here. Play around with the other banks on here, not other grade levels, but the other banks on here, because you can find some good stuff. I would caution again not using the selection test because those are over readings you've already done in class. But if you do it using the unit test, and I think even Texas Portals, it does have a couple of different passages. Like you can do, actually let's just try. Okay, so you can do a benchmark, you can do a pre-test. So even though I might not use this as a benchmark, I can still see, oh, there's 140 questions. No, I'm not going to do any of those essays. Oops. So even though I might not use this as a benchmark, it might still give me, look, a good reading passage, and then with my team, look, there's the paired passage. And with my team, we can decide on the questions, and we can decide if the rigor is there. That's good enough for us. Okay? So that is how you use Examview. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please contact me. There is my contact information. Bye.